like to call to order this regular meeting of the Lincoln Lancaster County Planning Commission of August 2nd, 2017. A printed agenda is available outside the hearing room, and a copy of the full agenda, including staff reports, is available in the front of the chambers with the clerk. The Open Meetings Act is posted just inside the doors at the back of the room. If you park in the parking garage across the street to the north, it's open and no coupons are necessary. Out of courtesy for those attending this meeting, the commissioners and staff, cellular phone usage is not permitted in these chambers during any portion of this meeting, and we appreciate your cooperation. The Planning Commission action today is final on the following items: 4.1 Special Permit 17026. Any aggrieved person may appeal final action of the Planning Commission to the City Council by filing a notice of appeal with the clerk within 14 days following the action of the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission action on all other items is a recommendation to the City Council or the County Board. The first item of business is on our agenda is the election of the chair and vice chair for a 2-year term. Is there a nomination for chair?
I would move Dennis be nominated and elected for chair.
Very good.
Second.
All right.
That was an awkward.
Any other nominations? Any discussion? Do we call the vote on that first?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Beckius?
Yes.
Core?
Yes.
Edgerton?
Yes.
Finnegan?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Shear?
Abstain.
Hove?
Yes.
Motion carried, 8-0. Dennis Shear has been elected to serve a 2-year term as chairman of the Planning Commission.
We
Do we transfer now?
And you can actually swap seats at this point.
All right.
Okay.
Super. Congratulations.
Thank you. Before I find my place here on this script, I want to thank Chris for chairing the past 2 years. I think we all we can see that Chris is a natural leader, and we've had some interesting meetings over the last couple of years, and Chris has done a great job leading us through those meetings, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Dennis.
Here,
Appreciate
here.
it. Thanks.
Okay, now I have to find my place here. Okay, I got it here, yep. Is there a nomination for vice chair?
I nominate Tracy Core.
Second.
There's a second, Thomas. Any other nominations? If not, Jerry, please call the vote.
Okay, Beckius?
Yes.
Core?
Abstain.
Edgerton?
Yes.
Finnegan?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Shear?
Yes.
Hove?
Yes.
Motion carried, 8-0, and Tracy Core will serve as the vice chairperson of the Planning Commission for the next 2 years.
Very good.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
The next agenda item is the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held on July 19th, 2017 as revised. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved, Beckius.
Second, Hove.
Jerry, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Beckius?
Yes.
Core?
Yes.
Edgerton?
Yes.
Finnegan?
Abstain.
Harris?
Abstain.
Washington?
Yes.
Shear?
Yes.
And Hove.
Yes.
Motion carried, 6-0 with 2 abstentions.
Okay, the next item is the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda will be called at the same time and will not be scheduled for a separate public hearing unless there is a request from someone wishing to speak or at the request of a commission member. I'll ask Jerry to read all of the consent agenda items into the record. Once those items are read, she will ask if there is anyone wishing to speak. If you wish to speak on an item on the consent agenda, we would ask that you stand and state that item. That item will then be removed from the consent agenda and scheduled as a separate public hearing under Section 3 of today's agenda. All items remaining on the consent agenda will be voted upon in total with a motion for approval. Jerry, will you please call the items on the consent agenda?
Yes. Item 1.1A is text amendment number 17011, amending Title 27 of the Lincoln Municipal Code by amending Section 27.63.110, allowing the City Council to increase the number of freestanding signs per frontage for garden centers in the AG zoning district when 2 or more tenants operate within the boundary of the special permit and the tenants have separate entrances along the same frontage, and repealing corresponding section as hitherto existing. Then there is an associated special permit number 06022A to amend special permit 06022 to allow 2 freestanding signs on South 14th Street with 1 sign located at each entrance on property generally located at 10901 South 14th Street. And then the final consent agenda item is item 1.2, changes zone number 17017 for a new historic landmark district overlay zone on property generally located at 1535 R Street. Are there any ex parte communications to be disclosed on these consent agenda items?
I see none.
Is there anyone here wishing to speak on any of these consent agenda items? If so, please stand and state those that item. Which items, sir?
I'm sorry, this is the first 2 items you mentioned.
Okay, the text amendment?
Yep.
Okay, and the associated special permit?
Exactly.
Okay, we'll call those separately under the public hearing. They'll be removed from the consent agenda in terms of action, and then we'll call those separately.
Right.
Oh,
Oh,
I don't know.
So no changes or,
so we don't need to remove those items? Okay. All
okay.
right.
Very good.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, we're clear.
It's my
Okay.
understanding that the gentleman that wanted it to be removed is the applicant, and there's no changes. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay,
Right.
so we will entertain a motion then.
I'll move approval. Beckius?
Second, Core.
Okay, any discussion? Jerry, please call the roll.
Okay. Beckius,
Yes.
Core,
Yes.
Edgerton,
Yes.
Finnegan,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Washington. Yes. Shear,
Yes.
Hove.
Yes.
Motion carried 8-0.
Okay, there are no requests for there are no requests for deferral, so we will now proceed to public hearings. The staff will make a brief presentation. The applicant will then be requested to present his or her testimony, followed by those who wish to testify in support, followed by those who wish to testify in opposition. The staff will then be given an opportunity to respond to the testimony, and then the applicant shall have an opportunity for rebuttal. Each person testifying should state their name and address and shall have 5 minutes to speak unless additional time is requested and granted. The timer will go off after 4 minutes, then you will have 1 minute to wrap up your testimony. The Planning Commission will vote immediately at the close of the public hearing unless the Commission votes to defer action or continue the public hearing. Jerry, please call the first public hearing and only public hearing item.
That's correct. Item 4.1 is special permit number 17026 for an AG agricultural district community unit plan for 10 lots on approximately 153.24 acres, more or less, with a partial waiver of the detention requirements for a drainage basin on property generally located at North 134th Street and Adams Street. This is final action by the Planning Commission unless appealed to the City Council within 14 days of today's action. And I would also note that the Planning Commission received a staff memo dated August 1st, revising the staff report by removing condition 1.8. Are there any staff recommendation is for conditional approval? Are there any ex parte communications to be disclosed on this agenda item?
I see none.
Tom Chaka, planning staff. This application is for a special permit for a community unit plan for 10 lots, 9 new lots, and 1 lot for an existing house. It's located on the southeast corner of Adams and 134th Street, right here. Here's the development mainly here's 134, so the development's more on the eastern edge. There'll be 2 access points to Adams Street. All of the lots are 3 acres in size and will use individual wells and septic systems. This is within the 3-mile jurisdiction of the city of Lincoln, so build-through standards are required for this development. When Jerry was reading the introduction, I did notice one thing. Originally, they had asked for a waiver or partial waiver to detention. That's been changed. They're no longer asking for that waiver. Take any questions?
Tom, I know that when we consider items such as this in the county, we have to evaluate them based on several factors. So can you tell me, are the roads paved, Adams and 134th Street, or are they gravel?
Adams and 134th are gravel. The conditions we look at for those that talk about in the comp plan, paved streets, rural water, other acreages close by, that's predominantly used more for when somebody's requesting a change of zone from AG to AGR. A lot of times on these developments, community unit plans, the density is either the same or maybe they have one bonus lot than what they could do by just chopping them up into 20-acre parcels. So those standards, while they're relevant, they're not as, I would say, not as important or pertinent as if somebody was trying to do a change zone to AGR where the minimum lot size is 3 acres.
Is there any density bonus on this one?
Yes. They get a 20% bonus for preserving the open space agriculture area by clustering them into one portion of the overall area instead of having them all into smaller 20-acre parcels.
So how many lots is that equivalent to on this application?
Just trying to see. Okay, so this is 153 acres. So that would be 7 lots, right? Not quite 8. So they're actually, it's close to 8. So they're actually getting two additional lots.
What section or what, who's going to be providing the emergency services for this? Is it going to be the city of Lincoln or is it going to be some of the rural?
No, it would be rural. It would be Lancaster County Sheriff and whatever the rural fire department is in that area.
And then kind of the last one on the list there is, that I didn't see addressed was the farmland. I mean, is this prime farmland or how does it rate?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? No? Applicant? Mike?
Good afternoon, Mike Eckert with Civil Design Group here today on behalf of Scott Otley and Ruth Thompson, the owners that occupy the land and have for years. Their families had it for quite some time, and so they decided it was time to get a cluster approved, which is, as Tom mentioned, taking your 1 per 20, combining that, getting your bonus so that the ag land is preserved and we have smaller lots. Easier for build through later on, and it was pretty much centered around the outlot. I might switch back to the screen for a second. There was some existing native prairie that their family had conserved at least for the past 3 generations up here in this area. And so we kind of shaped the lots around there, got our access points onto Adams Street. And Public Works had some questions because we weren't exactly on the half-mile line. We worked that out. We showed them how the adjacent property would be able to come through this stub road, and they could comply with the design standards on their end, and so I think they were good with that. I do believe at some point the county has it scheduled to be paved actually within the next 2 years. So that's part of the reason for bringing this forward too. So with that said, I think pretty standard. I think the reason we weren't on consent was because we were still working with Public Works on the access points. So I told Tom, go ahead and schedule it, and we thought we'd get it figured out by the time we got here, and we did. So appreciate your support on it.
Questions? Tracy, question about the farmland? No?
No?
Do you know?
It's probably above average to average. They put it in row crop production most of the time, except for that area. There's probably about 20 or 30 acres around the house that are not in row crop production. And so I would say as Lancaster County goes, it's probably average.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Is there any testimony in support of this application? Is there any testimony in opposition of this application? Are there any more staff questions? No? I guess there's no rebuttal, Mike? Okay. So we'll entertain a motion.
Move approval, Hove.
Chris?
Second, Core.
Okay.
As amended.
With conditions, as amended? Yeah. Okay.
Ready to call the vote?
Yeah, we're ready for the vote.
Okay. This is for conditional approval of special permit 17026 per the amended staff report. Beckius?
Yes.
Core?
Yes.
Edgerton?
Yes.
Finnegan?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Webb? Shear?
Yes.
Hove?
Yes.
Motion carried, 8-0.
Very good. At this time, anyone wishing to speak on an item not on the agenda may do so. If not, we are adjourned.